Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Louis.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always nice to hear a little Kobe in the morning. Don't you guys agree?
He's the man.
Yes.
Who do you guys think would win in a one-on-one, even though they played Kobe in his prime or Jordan in his prime?
Jordan all day.
Jordan. Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna
Anyone
say
else?
I'm gonna say Kobe.
Kobe in his prime? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They're two goats in my book, but I think Jordan might squeak out the win if he was definitely in his prime. But tell you what, man, Kobe's work ethic and his discipline is like, I think he got Jordan beat there.
They all talked about that. They said they couldn't tie this guy's shoes.
Yeah. Who's that?
They even did an interview with Allen Iverson. They were like, bro, when we were in the clubs or we were doing whatever, this guy was in the gym, bro.
Who was? Kobe was, right? Because that was
Yeah.
Iverson's time. Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. These guys, they worked hard. I mean, there's no coincidences in life. And the fact that they are who they are and they're as well decorated as they became, it's because they put in the work and they put in the hours. They were like, what, 4 a.m. they're in the gym, taking 1,000 shots before practice even starts. Like that's kind of stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good topic for today, guys. You know, are you guys putting in the work? Are you guys getting up early, doing the practice drills to get ready for what it is that you're preparing yourself for? Do you even know what you're preparing yourself for? Do you even have a target? Can you see the basket? Can you see the hoop? You know, is anything out there that you're going towards, you know, it's still cloudy to you? Like, you really need to have this visualized 100% clear. Like, there has to be a definite goal and a target in place for you to be able to hit it. You guys agree with that, correct? There has to be
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So when it comes to that, let's talk about that for a minute. Let me just get my audio right first. Harry, since I got you unmuted, talk about work ethic for a minute. What is your definition of work ethic, and what do you feel like an agent can do or a business person can do in order to prepare themselves?
I mean, it's just nonstop. It's just, you know, even if I have a deal or two, it doesn't matter. It's just, it has to be nonstop in this business, because until it closes, it doesn't mean anything. But then even after it closes, it's like, okay, well, we got more bills to pay. We got more things to do. I still do open houses. You know, I have peers of mine that started around the same time. You never see these guys at open houses.
So you're saying you're not too good for practice. You're not too good for the basics.
Nah, that's what keeps things, the paychecks funneling in. It's just the fundamentals, just still doing the same things. I still put up my own open house signs, and just try to lead by example, like you said. You know, I tell Tyree that all the time, man. It doesn't matter who shows up. Like, this is what I do. I'm going to continue to do what I do because it pays off.
Yeah.
Even the first year when I didn't get paychecks, you remember those conversations, bro? Literally in tears, crying to you, bro. Like, Louis, I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah. I need money. I got to pay for my daughter's school.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things Kobe said in this video, I'm not sure how many of you guys caught it, was that when he would play against players in the summer league and they had problems with their game, they'd show up later on, many years later, and they'd still have the same problems with their game. And he already knew it. He experienced that. So what happens is, a lot of us, we have certain problems with our game and with our business, and we don't work on it. We just act like it doesn't exist. And we only focus on the things that maybe we enjoy doing or the things that come easy, right? So in order to be a well-rounded in whatever it is that you're trying to attain, whether it's business, real estate, family life, whatever it is that we're working on, we have to work on those flaws. And I know that, you know, it's a lot easier said than actually done. And the only way we're actually going to do it is to actually make time for it. If we don't make time for these things, guys, it's not going to happen by chance. It's not going to happen by accident. We all get lucky sometimes. I mean, we can't just feed our family with luck. The last time I checked, you can't show up to the grocery store and says, maybe I'll be lucky today and there'll be money in my ATM card. That doesn't happen. It'll go over too well. You have to be purposeful in your day and your actions and the things we're going to prepare for. So with that being said, today I want to cover a lot of the things that most people struggle with, and that is, it's been working really well for us recently, and that's really working on your dialogue, working on fixing the things that we're uncomfortable doing, which is having conversations with people, taking conversations to the next level when we don't know what to say. And the reason why we don't know what to say is because we don't practice those things. I sent Harry a video this morning that I thought was very good, and it was actually a video that I've never really heard it explained this way before. And the way the guy explained it was so like quick, and he was so fast with it. And the reason why is because he's done this a million times. And I guess it wouldn't be fair if I didn't share that with everyone right now. And then we'll kind of we'll dive into it, and we will assess and see if we can't maybe come up with that dialogue ourselves. We can't practice it ourselves. Let me just send it to myself so I can open it up. Harry, did you see the video, or did you get a chance to see it?
No, we're just getting the kids out the house. I haven't
Okay.
had a quiet second.
Gotcha.
I'm just about to get quiet in my house.
Gotcha. Let me just share it to my email so that way I can open it for you guys. Let me close the window too, because these landscapers, they are here every Monday like clockwork at 9 a.m. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let me open up this message. Share my screen.
What you say if someone says they have to talk.
All right, hold on. All right, here we go, guys.
Their business partner, they have to talk to their husband, or they have to talk to their wife before they make a decision. The first thing you do, you say, well, what would happen if they said no? If they say, well, I would do it anyways, then boom, you close the sale. If they say, well, I don't think I would do it if they said no, then you ask, why do you think they'd be opposed to this? Now, obviously, they haven't even talked to their spouse yet, but they're going to give you the real reasons that they're actually against it. And then you can confront those. And then if they still don't want to say yes after confronting those decisions, you then rely on past agreements. And so that means is you say, well, do they know that you're struggling with this problem? Yes. Are they happy that you're struggling with the problem? Do they approve of the current condition you're in, that you're struggling? They say no. Then why would they be opposed to you fixing something they already don't approve of? And so you rely on the past to get them to say yes. And then at the very end, you say, hey, at the end of the day, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? Right, and you close the deal. Here's what you say if someone says that they have to talk.
Do you see the level of confidence there with what this guy is saying? With his one of the most hardest stalls that you will ever get thrown at you. But the way he didn't have not one rebuttal to it, he had literally options. He had different ways in which the conversation might go, and he is in control the whole time of no matter what. To be honest with you, I'd be scared to go up against this guy if he's trying to sell me something, because he's really good. But do you think he's just got that way because he's naturally gifted? Do you guys know who this man is, by the way? Alex Hormozy? Anybody?
No.
Okay. This guy started his career in the gym world, and he started opening gyms. He used to sleep in the floor of his gym because he was literally homeless. And he was just trying to open up a business. He scaled up to a couple of gyms, and then figured out that it was more profitable to teach people how to run gyms than it was to own gyms. So he started making money with that. And then he scaled his business into an education business. And now this man, I believe he says his businesses are worth a couple $100 million, I believe. And he lives in the same building with the guy who owns Panda Express, who's just one guy who owns all the Panda Expresses. That guy's a billionaire. Like, he is literally one of the wealthiest guys on YouTube who's giving out information for free. Okay. And he just wrote a book, $100 million deals. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of it, but I think he sells it for like cost. So I'm like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, you guys should really listen to what he's saying. We're gonna dissect this because he said it so fast that I want to take it piece by piece. But from listening to him for these 30 seconds that he just gave us this information, how many of you guys think that he's done this before?
Yeah, a million times.
Million times, right? You could do this with oranges, or he could do it with gym memberships. He could do it with anything. So let's listen to that first part again, and then we'll stop, and then we'll talk about that real quick.
Talk to their business partner, or they have to talk to their husband, or they have to talk to their wife before they make a decision. The first thing you do.
All right. So you guys have all heard, I got to talk to my husband, I got to talk to my wife, or I got to talk to my business partner. You guys have all heard that before, right? You guys, it's not your first day in life, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is that classified as? Is that classified as a stall, or is that classified as an objection?
It's a stall.
It's a stall, right? Because they're stalling you. And they're not telling you no. They're not giving you reasons why your product or you suck. They're just telling you that they're not ready to make a decision, because it's easier to squirm your way out of a conversation than it is to tell you yes or tell you no. Okay. So first of all, we have to identify what we're up against. So it's a stall. Correct, guys.
You say, well, what would happen if they said no? If they say, why would you do it anyways? Then boom, you close the sale. If they.
All right, let's stop right there. You heard what he said, right? So if Brent said to me, Louis, I got to talk to my wife, and what he says, what he's telling us to ask is, well, okay, I understand, Brent, but what would happen if she said no? Well, if Brent comes back and says to me, well, I think I'd do it anyway. All right, then let's do it. And he said, close the deal. There's no reason to continue dragging it on any longer than it has to be. So that in itself is masterful. You got to remember that. Can you guys commit to memory that question? Well, Brent, what would happen if she said no? Right. So, I never had that. Like, until listening to him today and listening to what he had to say, I was pretty much at like, okay, you got to talk to your wife. The only thing I possibly had was, is your wife available? Could we give her a call? Maybe we call her together. That's kind of the only objection handler I ever had, or stall handler I ever had for that type of dialogue. But now given the fact that he actually said, well, what would happen if she said no? It makes you think. And now I'm putting you in a hot seat, because subconsciously you're thinking, well, I'm a grown man, I'm a grown woman, I can make decisions on my own, right? What would happen if she said no? Well, if she said no, I know it's best for the family anyway. I pay the bills, or, I make these kinds of decisions. I'm more financially savvy, whatever the case may be. Well, I think I do it anyway. Well, if that's the case, I mean, you may not get majority of people to give you that answer, but even if you had 10% of people give you that answer, at least you can get the direction going into the conversation going into the direction that you want it anyway. All right. What do you guys think about that? That first part.
I think those counters to whatever objection, to either of those objections, are pretty easily controlled, by those two responses, especially if you're looking at it that way.
Yeah.
I think you can easily control the conversation if when you feel it's going to go that way, or when it starts off going that way, they're stalling because of the Mr. or the Mrs. at home making the ultimate decision. But it's the way he explains it here is it's like you can easily just control which way that conversation is going to go after that.
Yeah, Tyree. So let's make pretend you're canvassing the neighborhood. You're calling around to invite people to their open houses, and I showed some kind of an interest in possibly selling my home. And let's start the dialogue right there, where I'm telling you, hey, Tyree, yeah, you know what? I've considered selling my house before. Yeah, I think that's something that I'd consider if I got the right price. Let's go ahead and pick up with the conversation right there.
Okay. All right. Let's start from let's start from there again one more time.
Yeah, Tyree, thank you for calling, man. And yes, I have actually considered selling my house, but I don't think maybe right now it'd be the right time. But yeah, it's something that we've considered, and that's something we've talked about.
Okay, that sounds good. It's a great market to sell right now. So how about you give me a day that you're available to meet in person? Maybe we can discuss plans moving forward. I can just give you your options, and if you guys could, consider and actually want to decide to sell, then, we'll go from there. If not, then hopefully, you'll keep my number, or I'll even follow up, from there to keep you guys updated on how the market's going.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Tyree. But that's something I have to discuss with my wife before we make any decisions.
Okay. Well, tell me this. Will your wife be happy with, getting top dollar from the sale?
Yeah, I think she would.
So, and you will also, right?
Yeah, of course. That's
so. So how about we set this appointment for next Tuesday, at 10 a.m. in the morning, and we can discuss everything from there.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
That sounds better. Yeah, Tyree, I like Tyree's version of that. That was very much similar with what with what Alex Harmozy said over here. I think Alex's exact words were, what would happen if she said no? So he spun it off
Okay.
and said, yeah,
Okay.
you spun it off in a good way, though. You spun it off in a good way where it flowed and it made sense. Because at the same time, like, what is your goal here? Like if you were the homeowner, I'd say, Tyree, so would your goal be to sell your home for the highest price in the quickest amount of time if you decided to sell? Yeah, of course it would be. Okay, so you're telling me you would have to ask your wife permission to do that? No,
Okay.
no, I wouldn't have to ask her permission to do that. Okay, I'm not asking you obviously to sell your house today. I just want to come by and actually talk to you guys about how the process works. So maybe something like that, because all
Okay.
we're trying to
Okay.
do is land the appointment, right? We're not trying to get him to sign the dotted line. And if
Right.
you got to make a, you gotta check with your wife to make an appointment. Like, I thought you guys are on the same page here. Like, that's kind of like what you want to get to, because
Right.
we're not using high pressure tactics to get anyone to sign without their partner being there. What we're doing is trying to get in front of them, because that's the hardest part. Once you're in face to face with someone in the family, then you build more rapport,
Right.
and it becomes easier. As long as you guys practice.
And what is that? What is that key question again? I keep forgetting it.
What would happen if they said no?
Okay.
Yeah. So for instance, you set it up in a way where it's like, Tyree, so so you have considered selling your house, Tyree, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So would your objective be to sell it for the highest amount of price in the shortest amount of time?
Absolutely, man. We're trying to get we're trying to upgrade.
Okay. So let's set up an appointment for this coming Tuesday at 12 o'clock. I'll be in your area. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I have to check with the missus first.
Okay. Well, Tyree, why would she say no?
Well, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. She wants exactly what I want, so let's do the appointment.
Yeah, but give me a little bit more, give me a little bit
Some
more
more
stuff on.
pushback.
Yeah, give me a little more pushback. So,
Okay, all right.
yeah, Tyree. So let's make an appointment for this Tuesday, maybe at 12 o'clock.
All right. All right, Lou. So how about you give me till late? I'm going to check with the missus first, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So Tyree, does the missus agree with you that it might be time to sell?
Yeah, we've been talking about it for quite some time now.
And her objective is the same as yours, right? Getting the most amount of money for the house.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Then why do you think she'd say no to the appointment?
I don't know, man. She's just, she's not, she's not decisive. She's one day she's there, then the next day she isn't in it.
Oh, gotcha. So it sounds to me like she probably needs more information to make an educated decision. Is that correct?
Yeah, probably. We have a circle of friends that we pretty much rely on for market updates, but
Yeah.
they haven't really convinced us that right now is the best time to sell.
Well, I'll tell you from experience, Tyree, sometimes friends just tell us what we want to hear and protect us and try to shield us from the reality.
That's
But
true.
yeah, but why don't I just give you a non-biased perspective of what your home could sell for, and then you decide whether you want to work with your friends, or you want to work with someone who's not going to look at your financial information and be part of a transaction that could possibly I hate to say it, man, but could possibly ruin a friendship. I've seen a lot of friendships over business transactions not end well.
You make a great point. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, Lou.
Okay. All right, Tyree, I'll see you Tuesday at 12. Okay, good.
All right.
Now, guys, it doesn't always work out this well and this quickly. Obviously you've got to practice these things, but I've been role playing with agents since 2015. Like, it's not by chance, or maybe even earlier than that. I've been doing it for a long time. And yeah, at first when I made my phone calls, I didn't know what to say. It took me a month to get someone to tell me yes on the phone, and that's calling every single day, Monday through Friday. But then it got easier, and it's not that I got luckier every day or luckier every week. I just got better every week. I got better with more practice. But unfortunately for me, a lot of my practice was on the phone. It wasn't with people. But what I'm telling you guys is that we can literally pick people from our group or outside of our group to role play with and go through these. And it's fun. Like, I'm telling you right now, guys, it may sound like, oh, it's a bother, or it's like it's part of the business that it's really you don't get compensated for. But believe me, you do. The better you get off the field, the better you play when you're in the field. So yeah, that was good. Anyone want to add anything to what Tyree and I just kind of went through?
Oh, you sounded really good. I thought you sounded very confident. I thought you were very fluent. you didn't give me anything where, sometimes an agent that doesn't practice enough, if you say, it's just a turn off. It doesn't sound confident. You sounded more than confident. You sounded like you're bringing value, like you're almost doing them a favor.
Absolutely. That's what you should sound like.
And I would also like to add, and not feedback on your performance, but I think just a way to kind of like calm your nerves is, like you said, to just practice with a colleague or, maybe even a family member before you just go ahead and dive in. I think it's best definitely to, slow that heart rate down and just not try to rush it. That was my problem. I even went to a listed appointment solo, and I actually, I went there half-ass prepared, but my thoughts were just racing. So I wasn't even giving myself time for my thoughts to be processed before I just go ahead and start spewing out information and, stuff that, they couldn't even process, as fast as I was in my head. So it's definitely best to just slow it down, take a deep breath, and, just try to get to the point.
Yeah.
I thought your best point, Louis, is when you said, so your wife needs some more information. She's lacking confidence. And you set yourself up as the expert. And well, that's why, all the more reason for us to get together, because I can give you an objective opinion. I thought that was a really key turn of how you took her perceived lack of confidence and set yourself up to be the answer, the solution to that problem.
Yeah. Exactly. Because all we're trying to offer is solutions to their problems. That's why we ask the questions, because when we try to talk more than they do, and we feel like we understand what their problems are, we're just probably going in the wrong direction even more. Think about that, right? If they're concerned that they don't have enough information to make a decision, but you think it's all about the price, and you keep talking about the price, and they're talking about we don't have the info. We need more info. Maybe their info consists of, how long is my home going to take? Do I need to stage it? Do I need to paint it? Do I need to find a home before I list this home? Maybe it's just unanswered questions. And meanwhile, I'm drilling into, but your home is worth this. And if you sell it at this time, you'll get the most for it. And the market's on the decline because interest rates are going up. I'm going in the wrong direction because I didn't ask enough questions. Meanwhile, I sound like I'm desperate for the sale. And I sound like I'm trying to convince them instead of them arriving to their own decision. So I think that's what we need to do more of, is just more question asking, and then respond quickly, get to a good point, and then ask the question back. I've been role playing a lot with Harry and a few of the guys on these calls in the mornings. We always give each other the visual. It's a hot potato. We hold it just long enough where we get a point across and we give the potato back, or we're passing the baton and we got to go. Because if we hold it for too long, the music could stop and then we're out. You understand? And in our game, when the music stops is when the person stops being engaged in the conversation. You guys ever have a conversation when the person barely speaks to you? You know that it's uncomfortable, and like, right? We try to end the call because it's getting so uncomfortable.
Right.
In order to avoid that, we just need to engage them more in topics that interest them more. That's literally what we've been covering, and it's worked. I mean, I don't know if any of the guys want to give any. Tyree, I heard you did really well this weekend, putting together some of the dialogue that we covered in just one day. I think 1 or 2 days that you were on calls with us. I think you used some of that dialogue this weekend, right? Did it work?
Yeah, at an open house, because a lot of the buyers came or showed up with their agents. I was able to, just pick their brains a little bit, ask some questions about their brokerage. Two of them actually, ended up making an offer on the open house we did. So, just made the conversation more fluid. But, I was able to ask them, open-ended questions that, led me to actually genuinely feeling like EXP would be a better fit for them. One of the women were, she was in the business for over 20 years. And she's used to, the traditional brick and mortar and, going to the office and this and that. So that was an easy selling point for her. And then the other one was brand new. And as soon as I started talking about the revenue shares and our stock share programs, it caught her attention immediately. So I'm actually waiting for them to both get back to me so I can call them this morning. Yeah. And I'm making an appointment from there.
Yeah. But you felt more comfortable, right? You felt like,
oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, that's all we're trying to get across, guys, is that your comfort levels are going to get so much better. And it's not going to be about what you say, like Harry has said it a million times. It's not about what you say. It's how you say it. Because you could throw any script in front of me and you can throw any script in front of someone who just got into this business, and we're going to get different results because I'm already comfortable in saying what I have to say. Meanwhile, some other people are not going to be comfortable, maybe because they're going to try to memorize and then try to regurgitate, and it doesn't work. Because if you've ever seen someone give a speech that they're trying to memorize or have notes in front of them, it's the most uncomfortable conversation or speech you've ever listened to, because every few moments they're like and then looking down at their paper, and like they're not really conversing with you. They're just regurgitating information they previously had. The best conversationalists out there, the best presenters out there, are people who genuinely sound like they're talking from the heart, people who are telling you a story. If you ever notice, a lot of times I try to give you guys a story along with a talking point, because that engages people more. So if you're trying to make a point, sometimes it's okay to share a story. Tyree, I definitely, I appreciate that. I understand what you're saying and I hear you very clearly. But what I found is that people who have felt like you have done this, or people who have, like I can use these examples and I can tell a story, because what happens then is that I put my guard down and start to listen, because
Right.
people love stories. So Tyree, thank you. You know what? I understand how you feel, and I've had clients who have felt like you in the past. And what we found is the fact that when we sit down and review the numbers and review the comps and look at the market as a whole, they're better prepared to make a decision when the time comes. Does that sound like something that you think you'd be interested in doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then good. If that's the case, all I want to do is educate you and your wife. I still have that appointment available for Wednesday at 12. Let's go ahead and set it, and I'll bring you guys the coffee. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
All right.
Louis,
Yes, sir.
my observation of people, it's almost always true that in a marriage relationship, or when two people are making a major decision, one seems to always be more comfortable and have they have to have the approval of the other.
Yes.
And it's not gender related.
Mhm.
So it may be that in this particular case, the husband really needed, for his own self-confidence, he needed the approval.
Yes, correct.
It wasn't a stall. It was just a fact of life. That's the way they make decisions.
Absolutely. And we're not asking them to make a decision on selling their home.
Yeah.
We're just asking them to allow us to present the information to both of them in the same room.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. We would never want someone to commit to something without the other person being there, because what's going to happen? The person's going to sign up. If you're that good and you can get someone to sign without their spouse knowing about it, what's going to happen is that they're definitely going to cancel. They're going to call you and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. My house just blew up and I can't deal with this anymore. I need to take my house off the market, because they went back and they told their wife they signed a document without them knowing, or their husband, and it causes World War III in their house. We don't want that. What we want is the opportunity to allow us to meet with both of them, so you can give the information to both decision makers, because there's no point in just selling on one decision maker when the other decision maker isn't in the room. Okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. When you call someone, it rings everybody who's going to make a decision in the house. It just rings the one person. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yes. And there's a guy named Edmund Chan. He talks about the importance of efficaciousness.
Yeah.
And he said, oftentimes in leadership in the business world, there's a lot of talk about efficiency and effectiveness. So he says that effectiveness is making sure that your ladder is against the right wall, but efficiency is making sure, effectiveness is making sure you climb the ladder just right, but efficiency is making sure it's against the right window.
Mm-hmm.
But Edmund Chan talks about efficaciousness. And so the right thing in the right way, in the right time, and with the right motive. And he says that it's the motive that's behind it that oftentimes makes the difference. And if we can be salespeople who genuinely care in an efficacious way, it's going to be better than just effectiveness and efficiency. I got a lot of background noise, so I'll mute myself.
That's okay. Yeah, what Brent is saying is that if you truly believe that what you're selling is the right thing for them, or what you have to offer is the right thing for them, then your why is in line with their purpose. You know, you have to be ethical about what you're doing, because if you're just doing it for the gain of just one party, it's not going to end well. You know, it has to be a symbiotic relationship between you and your clients. You can't go to your clients and say, I'm the best person for the job. It's a $10 million home, and you've only sold 3 houses in your entire life. That's not fair, because you're going to be doing them a disservice. What you need to do is really look at the bigger picture and see what it is that person needs. And I'm not telling you not to take a $10 million listing on your third deal. I'm just telling you, you might need a team with you. You may need someone in your office who has the experience to come with you, because if you're trying to sell, and that's the only example I can really give you guys in real estate right now, but if you're trying to sell someone on something that you really know you're not the best fit for, then you're not being ethical. But if you know in your heart of hearts and your stomach that no one is going to do a better job than you, then there's nothing wrong with getting in front of those people, making your presentation, getting your point across, and giving them the information they need, and then hoping the outcome comes in your favor. You know, I think that's what Brent is saying, because what he insinuated with the metaphor of the ladder is, make sure you're climbing the ladder properly, is as I guess an example of saying, make sure that you have your steps in place, or your processes in place, but make sure that you're working towards what it is that you should be working towards anyway. Because if you're on the wrong window, or maybe you're on the wrong client, or you're on the wrong transaction, you might be working for you might be climbing those steps and making those procedures for the wrong purpose, or wrong intended purpose. Am I correct in saying that, Brent? You got to unmute yourself, Brent.
As fiduciaries, truly, we're supposed to be looking after their interests before our own. And a good salesman should say, you know, when I hear your story, maybe it would be better for you to wait 3 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And get some stuff lined up. So that would be the motive behind putting your ladder up against the window. Why do you want to get in? Is it truly to help them, or is it to help yourself? So I think that's what Edmund Chan is saying.
Okay, good. Thank you for the clarification on that. Anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next part of the information?
Louis.
Yes. Who am I speaking with?
Jose.
Hey, Jose. What's up, buddy?
Hey, one of the you know, you said something that really just captured me, and you said unbiased perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big key, because, you know, we are led by our family members, a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of clients and customers who are led strongly by a family member, and a lot of times these family members don't even have experience,
Yeah,
buy their own houses or anything like that. But yeah, that you know, unbiased perspective was really good, really captured.
Thank you, Jose. And guys, if you're not familiar, Jose, he used to own an independent brokerage. He's been in the business 20 years, right? About 20 years now?
Yeah, 21 years.
21 years, right? Yeah, and he and I'm telling you, a lot of stuff that he's hearing now, that we're hearing now, I'm sure he's been there a time or two before. And it's really important to practice these things, right, Jose? Because even as long as we've been in the business, learning dialogue skills like this is still, it's very, very important. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Jose. All right, so let's go ahead.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go for it, Harry.
I think that the practice is like anything else. If Kobe, right, you use Kobe as an example, if he's not on the court every day and he shoots around once a month or once a year, he's not going to be competing at the same level.
Yeah.
So if we're not doing this every day, it's not like that guy makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
It's not luck. It's hard work.
Correct. Yeah. If Kobe had a game every day, maybe he wouldn't need to practice as hard, right? But he doesn't, so he does. Or, you know, I should talk in the past tense. But the same thing goes for us, right? We don't have a listing appointment every single day or multiple times a day. If we did, we probably wouldn't have to practice that much, right? But how do we get to having a listing appointment every day? We should practice every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, let's continue with this, and we'll chop it up some more.
They say, well, I don't think I would do it if they said no. Then you ask, why do you think they'd be opposed to this? Now, obviously, they haven't even talked to their spouse yet, but they're going to give you the real reasons that they're actually against it. And then
You see what he did there? He's not asking you to try to convince the wife or the husband. He's asking you, why do you think they would say no? Because sometimes people don't really tell you what they don't like about what you're saying. They use their wife or husband to make it seem like they're the bad cop and I'm the good cop. Let me go talk to them and then tell you no later. That's what's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. When people say, I got to talk to my wife or my husband, they're never going to answer the phone for you again, or they're going to give you another story later on. So what he's doing there, he's addressing the problem that they really have that they're scared to say. So now he's shifting the bad cop to the wife or the husband and saying, why do you think they would say no? He's not saying, why do you don't like it? How come you don't like me? He's saying, why do you think they would say no? So that opens up the dialogue to them to be more transparent and be like, you know what? I don't think they're going to like the whole 6% commission thing. That's a lot of commission. Oh, so you're telling me that commission is important to you and to your wife. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Is that the most important thing? No. Okay. So do you guys see what he did there? Do you guys follow that? How powerful was that? I want to hear some different voices, guys, because we have the same 3 or 4 people who always engage. I want to hear you guys engage, the ones who have been on here consistently. It's okay if you're new. No one's going to judge you if you guys sound a little funny on your microphone or whatever the case may be. This is just for us to learn. How powerful is it, the fact he's asking them, why would your wife or husband say no? What do you think they wouldn't like about it?
It's very powerful. He's digging deep.
He is. He's giving you the opportunity to vent and
Yep.
not feel guilty for it. Right, Sarah? Why would your husband say no, Sarah?
Just because we don't have a place to move to.
Oh, okay. I understand. So you almost feel like you're being rushed to make a decision because you haven't even lined up in the next house yet, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Have you taken the opportunity to actually go out there and look at these homes?
I did. We didn't like anything.
Okay. So would it be more important for you guys to find a home first and then list this home? Is that the process that you and him would naturally want to take?
That would be great, but I don't want to pay too much over asking.
Oh, okay. So you have 2 problems. The first problem or issues that you guys need to combat is the fact that you need a place first, but you need a place to give you as much value as that you're going to pay for because prices are higher, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I would like to pocket a lot of cash out of my house when I sell.
You know what? The person that you're going to be buying the home from is probably saying the same thing. I want to pocket as much cash as I possibly can. So what I'm going to tell you, Sarah, is that you may or may not find a good deal in a house in this market right now. But what I will tell you is that you will most likely find a house that you like. Would you imagine that would be the case, that you'll find something you like, but you may not fall in love with its price?
But how can you help me find the house that I like, but still stay in my house till I close on the new house?
Okay, so what we can do is first, let's identify something you like, right? Because the reason why I'd want to do that as a real estate agent, guys, listen to this. The reason I'd want to do that, because she told me that I need to find something before I list my home. So Sarah, if you're currently not working with another agent, I'd love to have the opportunity to help you and your family find your next home. Why don't we start looking for homes first? And if you like something, then we can have a discussion about selling your home. Now, the reason why I'd want to do that, guys, is because when they find a home, they're going to become emotionally attached to this purchase. Right now, she's not emotional. Right now, she is analytical. So I want her to be emotional, because once she's emotional, then listening to home with me at 6% just becomes very much just a road bump in the way for her to get to her house. She just wants to get that over and done with. Right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put the road bump before I have any momentum. And it's hard for a car to go over a road bump if it's in park or in neutral. But if the car is going 10, 20 miles an hour, it's a lot easier to get over that road bump. So what I want to do with her is I want to find out what it is that's stalling her or stopping her from doing business with me. Take care of that situation first. Let's find her a house. Her concern is she might pay too much for it. So what I would say is, Sarah, so why do you think that homes are overpriced right now? Why would you say that?
I just feel like there isn't enough sellers, and that's why the home prices are high.
Absolutely. But don't you agree that when it comes time for you to sell your property, you're probably going to do very well also?
Yeah, I'm sure. I've
Okay.
been watching the news. I know.
Is price the number one reason why you're considering selling your home right now, or is it for another reason?
No, we need a bigger home.
Okay, so whether the market would be up or down right now, you'd still have the same need. So with that being said, it's all relevant right now, Sarah, because what's happening is you're going to pay more for your home, but you're also going to pocket a lot more for your home when you sell it. So the extra money you're paying for a home, you're going to make up probably more to make up for it when you sell yours, because your house is beautiful. And if you don't mind buying something that maybe needs a little bit of work, maybe you can actually come out on top. Does that sound like a plan?
Louis, I talked to a lot of realtors, and
Okay.
I haven't trusted any of them because I'm afraid I'm gonna end up being homeless.
You know what? I don't blame you, because I wouldn't trust 99% of the realtors out there either. So you guys have, when someone gives you something that's very uncomfortable, like what she just said, make a joke out of it, or own it. Be like, you know what? I hate realtors. Or, that makes two of us. And then we're gonna start a I hate realtors club. Okay. So whatever you guys want to do, when you get something uncomfortable like that, you just want to just own it. Own it. Okay. That way the person kind of says, oh, you know what? They made me laugh, or whatever the case. Yeah, you know what, Sarah? That's 100% true. I wouldn't trust realtors either, because 99% of realtors out here, they're just gonna tell you what you want to hear. They never tell you the real truth. And I'm gonna promise you one thing: you may not like what I have to say, but I'll always be honest with you. Okay. So let's go ahead and start looking for these homes. I'll make sure that you guys get a home that's priced in your comfort level. Sound like a plan?
It does.
Okay, good. You see, like it would take a little bit more to get her to that point, but I'm just kind of like trying to wrap things up for you guys so you guys can hear, what it might sound like. To
Louis, your voice is very, like, I don't know, assuring. Not
calming.
everyone,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
not everyone has that voice.
Okay, but you have a voice that works for you. And everyone is going to be different, and everyone is going to be able to sell in a different capacity, or because let me just give you an example, right? Sometimes I hear a guy like Gary Vee and I'm like, man, I wish I could talk with his energy. If I could talk with his energy, I'd be the number one speaker and salesperson out there, right? But then you say, oh, Louis, your voice is just so calming. If I could talk like you, then maybe I'd do better in dialogue. So we always think that someone else has something better than us, but it's not true, Sarah. I hear your voice, Sarah, and I'm like, she's got the voice of a go-getter. Like, she's not scared. She's always smiling and laughing. How can I smile and laugh more when I talk? Because if I did, I'd be more effective. But I catch myself talking for half an hour and I haven't smiled or laughed once. Do you understand? So we can always be better in some ways and worse in others. But just give yourself enough credit, Sarah. Who here thinks that Sarah sounds great?
I do. And and this is for everybody with this whole entire dialogue and role playing. There's one important thing that everybody has to understand. For one, people will trust you. But in order for anybody to trust you, you have to trust yourself. And that is the whole purpose of role playing, is learning to trust yourself. When you trust yourself, confidence flows. It's not conceit, but it flows because you're trusting yourself, which makes other people trust you.
I agree. Good. Well put, Belinda. If you don't trust yourself, no one else will trust you either. Those are awesome words. Very, very good. Very powerful. Tanya, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, I believe you have something to add to the conversation, or I think you are unmuted.
I went on a listing appointment and Brent went with me a week ago. And the seller's son was a friend of mine, and he told me that he believed the property is worth about $740. And my comps showed that he was justified in what he was saying, but it also could have went up in the 800s. And also, he told me that since this market makes it a very, very quick sale, it should sell within a day. So they really didn't want to pay a 6% commission. So I talked to them about the commission. So I'm beating myself up because I felt I wasn't really prepared because my license was being in the process of being transferred to EXP. I wasn't online. I couldn't get the comps I wanted, and I really didn't have a package to present. So I more or less winged it. But I still feel that I did well. And I told them that because it's a bidding war, if we started at 769.9, then we would get a lot of offers and it would push it up into the 800s, and then they could pick the best offer for them, but we would get a higher price.
Mhm.
Well, that afternoon, they had a gal from Sotheby's come in, which was a seller's friend, and she listed it at 865, the top of the market, and at 6% commission. And I feel like she must have been better than I am, or really good, or hustled. I don't know. But I just felt like I should have got that. And I just feel like I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I was, but I really felt like I wasn't, and I felt like I fumbled through it.
Yeah. There's a saying that says that losses are your best teachers.
Yes.
You will always learn more from your losses than you will ever learn from your wins. If you would have walked in there that day, Tanya, and you would have walked away with the listing at your price and at your commission, you wouldn't have learned really anything from that experience. Now, if the fact that you went in there and you didn't get the listing, now that forces you to dissect what you said, what you could have said better, how you could have
Yes.
competed better. Exactly. And
There's an old saying, the test is first, the lesson is second.
there you go. I love that too. I love that as well. So what I'm saying here is that Tanya, we're not going to allow that ever happen again. Why? Because you're going to sit back and you're going to really write down the things that you feel like could have improved in your presentation, whether that is preparedness or whether that is the right listing presentation, or maybe no listing presentation at all. Maybe you need to connect with the person more. Maybe you guys need to share more personal stories. Maybe you guys need to laugh more, converse more. I'm not telling you what you should have done. I'm just giving examples of what maybe things could have, how they could have worked out differently. But another thing you got to remember as well, Tanya, is that you can't make everyone happy all of the time. Some people just click better, some people are just weird. Maybe they just want to make a decision with the last person that comes into their house. Maybe there's no wrong, when you sit down with a client and let's try this. If you sat down with the client and you're giving your presentation, you may want to say to them, have you considered sitting down with any other real estate agents? As a matter of fact, yes, we're going to be sitting down with a young lady from Sotheby's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Okay, no problem. Now, I just want to let you know how I work. This is how I work. I want to give you guys all the information. I want to give you guys all the options that you have. And I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling your needs. But what I also do is I do a follow-up consultation, because I never expect anyone to make the decision on the spot. So can I educate you today? But would you allow me the opportunity to come back in 2 days after you've really absorbed this without making a decision yet? Okay, I think we could do that. That allows you, Tanya, to come back and be the last person they meet with again.
That's good.
Do you
That's a
see?
good one.
Yeah, you see what we did there? If you ask the right questions, you will get everything you need. So if you ask if they're meeting with anyone else, then you can use this dialogue and say, look, I want to be the last person you meet with. Because why? Because a lot of times, think about it, when someone gives you a multiple choice question, you usually pick the last thing. It's just human nature, because you kind of want to get things over with. Oh, and God forbid, if they gave you the highest price, you're definitely going to go with that person, because sellers don't know how real estate works. They think if the agent tells you a higher price, you're going to get more for your house. We all know that that's not true, but we know it's a tactic that a lot of realtors use. That's why when you told me about this the other day, Tanya, I said, Tanya, follow up in 30 days. Why? Because more likely it's not going to be sold in 30 days. And just show them that you care as a genuine human being, because what's more likely to happen is that they're going to get upset with this agent that they were literally lied to, and they're going to end up buying their next home with you anyway. So at least you'll get the buy out of it. Maybe you don't get the listing. In a perfect world, maybe they'll withdraw their listing if they can, and then they'll list and buy with you. So you did the right thing. You went in there with the right comps. You went in because I looked at the comps with you. And yeah, the person way over priced that property. In this crazy market, maybe they'll get it, but most likely they won't. So I think you did the right thing. My approach would have been the exact same way. The only thing that we can do from the situation is go back and analyze and see how we can possibly have it work out in our favor next time around.
I get it.
Louis?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tanya, go ahead real quick and then we'll let Sarah talk.
Well, the scenario that you just did, that maybe we should help you find a house before you list your house.
Mhm.
Well, what happens if they find a house and they can't make an offer on it because their house isn't sold yet? So you could do an offer subject to their house selling, but in today's market, that seller's not going to work. So when you talk about them about what if you found something today, how could we preserve that property while yours is on the market?
Right. So that's the part
kind of tough.
that's the part that comes in with the consultation and you giving your expert advice to them, because not everyone can do that. If you're in an affluent neighborhood with affluent clients, most people do. They go and they buy their next home and then they leave their home here, so they're
Right.
not bothered. But some people can't do that, and they don't understand that they can't do it. They think that, oh, let me go make an offer on this one, and then we'll let this one go under contract and we'll close both at the same time. Okay. Sounds great in theory, but this is not 2018. This is 2022, post-pandemic, and the world has never seen a real estate market like this ever before. So part of that whole process is seeing what they can and can't do. And just because Sarah wants to do that, and Sarah wants to have it go that way, it's my job not to have Sarah be happy. It's my job, like I told her before, to tell her the truth. So when I tell her that and I say, Sarah, it would be nice to do that, and I totally get it. And I would, I would want you to do that. But I just want to let you know, you're actually going to put yourself at a disadvantage if you try to do that. So
Right.
the process in which we do it is this way. And then she can have the information, her husband can have the information. And then they're like, wow, you know what? Louis really kind of gave us something to think about. Then they value you more because you're not just an order taker, you're a knowledge provider, or you're someone of value, adding value to that relationship. Sarah, you were going to say?
I mean, trying to put my thoughts together. She can also, while she's doing the consultation, promise the seller that it'll be shame on her to make the seller homeless. There is also options where she can give the sellers where they can rent back the house from the buyer for 3 months, and
Yeah.
that's an agreement they can do.
Use an
Or
occupancy, correct? Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
or they can list the house contingent on the seller closing on the new house.
Yes,
It might,
that's fine. In a
yeah,
seller's market,
it might drive buyers away, but someone that's not in a rush might be okay with that.
yeah. In a seller's market, a seller can put as many contingencies as they want. The problem is that in a seller's market, the buyer can't put any contingencies on the contract. So
Yes.
the problem is the purchase. It's not so much the sale. Yeah, but obviously you guys have to analyze your environment. You have to make sure you're conscious of what kind of a market we have right now, which is insane. So we know that buyers are at a huge disadvantage. I got people calling me like, what else can I add to the contract to get sellers to pay attention to mine? Just really nothing. I mean, the only advice I give the agents is like, make the
Your
listing agent
firstborn.
yeah, right, your firstborn. Make the listing agent your best friend. That's what I just say. Call the listing agent before you write any contracts. Call them, because you might be writing it for no reason. Number one. Number two,
Yes.
because it puts you at an advantage when you become a friend to that person. So
Yes.
that's really
I have a question for you, Louis.
Yes.
What does Louis take with him to the listing appointment?
What do I take, me? You guys would be
Yes.
surprised that my number one objective
Yes,
when
I want to write it down.
Yes, my number one objective when I go to a listing appointment is two things. Data. That's all I need is data. I don't need a presentation to walk me through the steps, even though some people it works for them. I don't do that because I feel like it comes off to me as not genuine. I want to go there and genuinely have a conversation with you. I want to learn about you. I want to see your home. I want to comment on your home. I want to tell you what you can do to make it more appealing. I want to do the things. I don't want to go through, okay, well, step number one, this is my team. This is how long I've been in business. These are my awards. These are my things. These are my that. This is that. Now, granted, if they want something like that, I'll have it with me and I'll leave it with them. I'll leave them my resume. Everyone should have a resume and a bio. If you don't have that, that's step number one, resume and a bio. All right,
Wow.
that I have with me, but I don't use it as my presentation, because if I sat with you and I read off to you a presentation, okay, I sound, you know, people don't like that. People want to have an engaging conversation with you. If they ask for it, I would say, Miss, and I'm not telling you how to you do your business, because I've sat with Harry and Harry crushes listing presentations with his presentation because it's an engaging one. I would much rather go in there and I would rather just meet you as a human being, have a conversation with you as a human being, make it my goal to ask you the questions that make you emotional so I can connect with you. Okay. How do you get emotional questions out of a person? You listen. If you're not listening and you're talking, they're not connecting with you. So if I'm doing a presentation, who's the one talking? Who's the one listening? Right? If you're going in and you're building a relationship, you're asking all the questions and then you're building a relationship. So that's what I do. And I bring the comps with me because all the comps do is just strengthen my argument. If I say, look, I think your home is worth 500,000. Okay, Louis, how much would you list it for? Oh, I think I listed your home for 500,000. And the reason why is because these 3 recent sales just hit the market and they just closed recently within the last 3 months. I think these are the best ones to look at. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with these 3 homes? No, I am not. Well, you know what? I do know this one. This one's around the corner. Oh, and that place is a piece of junk. My house is much better. Why do you think your home is that much better? Oh, my home is that much better because I finished the basement. I did this, I did that, I did that. Okay, so what you're telling me is that you think because the basement is finished, it's worth more than this house. Yes. Okay. So let me explain how that works. So a finished basement does not make your home more valuable to the point that you think. Yes, it makes it more appealing to a buyer, but when an appraiser comes, the appraiser will not add that much value like you think, dollar for dollar. It might be somewhat. And if it doesn't have heating and air conditioning down there, it's not really considered living space. All right. So, you know, when you start educating people, they start appreciating more. Or the fact might be like, oh, you have a finished basement. These houses don't have basements. You know what? If that's the case, then yes, your home would be more appealing and it probably could get another $10,000 or $15,000. So what you're telling me is that you're comfortable with these properties being your comps, correct? But you feel it's worth more money because of the basement. How much money would you add to the value of your home because of the basement? Well, I spent about $20,000 finishing the basement. Okay, so you're telling me that you'd be comfortable with a 520 or a 525 list price? Yes, I would. All right, then let's do that. I think you can get that. Okay, that sounds good. So you see, it really is all about getting to know the person, finding out what their needs are, building the rapport, and then talking business when you have to. At the end of the day, it's really about how much are you going to list my home for and how long is it going to take. Okay, so if you have the data with you and you have the conversation skills with you, I really feel like you don't need to overcomplicate it. You really don't. Like a lot of agents, they overcomplicate the listing appointment because they're nervous. And I get it. You know, you need like the blueprint, you need the talking points. But once you've had enough practice with that outside of a listening presentation, you can go there and you can have a real human to human interaction. Instead of it feeling like a business transaction, it should feel like you just met a new friend. You guys agree?
I love that.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about.
How would you let them know that, oh, you should clean the house, or
You should clean the
maybe
house.
there's a wall that needs to be painted, or
Got it. Got it. Well, first thing you need to do is always carry with you something that would take notes. Okay, taking notes. Now, when you're taking notes, make the person aware that you're going to be taking notes. Because have you ever seen somebody walking around a stranger's house writing things down? The other person gets uncomfortable because they're like, what are you writing in your book right there? What are you doing? Because they're like, you know, it almost feels like you're an inspector inspecting their house, right? So what you want to do is you want to set the stage. So when you show up, always have something to write or take notes with, whether that's your phone or whether that's your journal, and you let them know, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, would you mind showing me your home? Oh, yeah, no, please, come this way. I just have to let you know, I got a really bad memory. So I'm going to be writing down a lot of things that I like about the home and then some improvements that you guys can possibly make. Is that okay with you? Yes, it is. See, what I did there is I just showed them that I'm very professional about what I do. I also didn't put the blame on, hey, your house is probably a hot mess, so I'm going to take down a million notes. I say I have a bad memory, so I'm going to write these things down so we can discuss them later. So once you do that, you ask for the permission so you don't seem like a creep that's writing down, the combination to their safe or where they keep their jewelry. You're literally just writing down those so you can discuss with them later. That makes you look professional. And then later, when you sit down with them, you've got things to talk about. You've got maybe 5 or 6 things that you can bring up, which you can address before there are problems. Because what happens with a lot of agents is they go to the house is a hot mess, they take the listing, and then they tell you it's a hot mess. You understand? Like, oh my God, this needs to fix, you need to fix that, you need to fix this. Meanwhile, what you could have done is that before you asked for the sale, you showed enough value and enough, experience that they want to sell the home with you because you brought up everything that they need to know. And then you don't even have to ask for the sale. You can just assume the sale. So after I had a conversation with you about, okay, John, in order to get this home listed and sold for the most amount of money, we need to paint this wall. We need to declutter some. I've got a great cleaning lady. If you don't have anyone, I can have them come over and help you clean this home so it could show and smell perfect for the open house. Okay. Now, once we do that, then I can get the home listed on Wednesday. That way agents can have Thursday and Friday to make the appointments for it, but I won't book any appointments until the open house on Saturday. That way everyone shows up at the same time and it looks like there's more demand for your home. And that's how we get the home sold as quickly as possible. Wow, that sounds great. Yeah, the only thing we need to do now, brother, is let's get the paperwork out of the way. You see what I'm doing there? Let's get the paperwork out of the way so that way we can start getting this thing sold. Good. Let's move on. Here's the paperwork. Just sign here, here, and here. I'll get you a copy in your inbox within the hour as soon as I'm back in the office. You see what I did there is I went through my talking points of the house about what it needed, but I included myself in that process. That way I'm assuming the sale and I'm not asking for permission once the conversation is done. And that way you can close the transaction a lot easier, a lot more comfortable, a lot more genuinely, because you're including yourself in that transaction. Because they're never going to stop you and say, Louis, stop it with that we stuff. Stop it with that we stuff. It's not we, you're not French. It's what I have to do. They're never going to say that, right? They're just going to go with it. They're going to go with the flow. You're going to get them more comfortable. And then you just get it done, guys. That's really it. At the end of the day, you just got to get them comfortable with you.
So I noticed you made them sign, right? You didn't leave before making them sign. But I noticed also you never brought up your commission to them.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if we're going to do a full blown listing conversation, yeah, commission is going to come up. How people handle commission? Okay. No, it's going to come up. It's always going to come up. Okay. If it doesn't come up until you pull the paperwork out, they're going to say, oh, by the way, how much is your commission? My commission is always a standard 6%. Half goes to the buyer's agent, half goes to us. I then split that with my brokerage, and that's how we work. Okay. I mean, you can explain it to them however you want to do it. Some people just say 6%, keep it moving. On Tom Ferry and a couple other guys, they just say it's 6% and they don't say anything else, because some people think that just staying quiet makes it awkward. So they just want the awkwardness to go away. So they just sign. However it works for you, it's great. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You just need to practice it. That way it's comfortable, because there's going to be a few people who are going to fall for that. And some people will be like, 6%, not paying 6%. Okay. Then what do you think is fair? 4%. Okay. Why would you think that 4% is the accurate amount to sell your home? Oh, it's 4% because the agent from down the street said they will do it for 4%. Okay, I understand that. Would you agree that certain mechanics will charge you less for your brakes than other mechanics as well? Yes, of course there are. All right. Well, do you think that the level of capacity or capability of the mechanics that work for less is the same as the mechanics who work for Mercedes-Benz? No, I'd probably say the mechanics of Mercedes-Benz probably got a little bit more schooling, a little more education, probably do things a little better. Absolutely. What you're asking me to do is take the knowledge and expertise that I have, and you're asking me to work for someone's commission rate who doesn't value their business as much as you do. Now, if you're asking me to already negotiate with you and lose a negotiation, just imagine what an agent's going to do when it comes time to taking offers on your house. They're not going to want to negotiate on your behalf. They're just going to take any offer. So you kind of want to have that dialogue ready for them. And I'll tell you one last thing. I know we're going over. I spoke to a lady from Texas a couple of days ago. I got a listing in Texas, and I reached out to her and I said to her, would you be okay taking a 35% referral? So she calls me, or we connected on the phone and we discussed it. She said, Lewis, I would love to help you. Bertram is my area, no problem. The only thing is, I don't give out 35% referrals. I was like, you do know it's a listing, right? It's not a buyer, it's a listing. Like, yeah, I only pay out 25%. Okay, so you're telling me that you would pass up on this listing because you only want to pay out 25%. She said, yes. I said to her, Jeanette, I'll give you this for 25% if you promise me that when you go to the listing appointment, you don't leave the house until you negotiate like you just did with me. She's like, I promise you. I said, I would rather take 10% less from a closer than take 10% more from someone who's going to leave without the listing. You see what she did there? She was not scared to negotiate with me. And I paid her more, gladly paid her more, because I knew I was going to get the desired outcome. It's not
she's
always
greedy.
about price. She's greedy?
She's greedy.
She's smart.
I don't
She's
know.
smart. Because last time I checked, beans, potatoes, meat, gas is not cheaper today than it was last month or last year.
Yeah,
She's
but
smart.
one day she's gonna need you, and then let me see how much you're gonna charge her.
Oh,
No,
she,
but I think you're missing a point. Lewis appreciates that she's a go-getter. She's gonna get it done. He wants someone. What good is it if Lewis gets 35% but never gets a listing?
exactly. What's 35% of nothing? Nothing. I would rather give her 25%. She fought for her 10%. I want her to fight at the listing appointment for that listing. I said, I'll give it to you. You promise me you're not leaving that house until you come out with the listing. Let me show you guys. Let me show you what happened. Check it out. Nice couple. Listing appointment set for Thursday, the 24th at 5 p.m. She got the listing appointment. Look at that. So it's not a coincidence that she got it. She got it because she knows how to negotiate. How does she know how to negotiate? She's either done it enough times or she's practiced enough times. All right, cool.
Lewis, did you set it up that way to see what she would do for 35 or no?
Not at all.
Just trying-
I always thought that listing appointments, listings were 35% in my opinion, but
Yeah,
she wanted 20. She wanted 25.
Where did you find her, Lewis?
I found her at workplace. I just looked up the name of the town, and she popped up as being one of the people there. If you guys have listings anywhere in the country, I mean, I get listing appointments pretty much anywhere because I'm running national campaigns, and so if I needed an agent in Bertram, Texas. So I just typed in Bertram, Texas.
So
And
she was one of several. So you picked her out. How? You just
I
read about.
typed in the city name, and she had a post. So I always will encourage you guys, engage in your workplace, in your Facebook workplace, engage in there, put your listings in there. Why? Because when somebody Google or somebody searches Rahway, New Jersey, you better know that the person with Rahway, New Jersey postings is going to get a call about Rahway, New Jersey. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I've never heard of Bertram, Texas in my life. As a matter of fact, there's only two people who have ever posted about Bertram, Texas, this lady and this guy right here, Doug. I went with her. Why? Because she had this really nice, like, put together post. So and then she negotiated with me about the commission, which I loved because she had no problem in showing her value. And that's the kind of person I want.
Good job, buddy.
No
Hey,
problem. Yeah.
Lewis,
Yes.
I just had kind of a similar experience. I had two listings in Puerto Rico from a client that I had a service here in New Jersey.
Yes.
He had two listings in Puerto Rico, so I went on Workplace and I found this agent that's been licensed for 2 years, but she has 20 years experience in mortgages. So
Wow.
to me, that's a great experience.
Yes.
So I interviewed her, and the same thing happened. And I offered her a 50% listing, and she was like, "No, it was 25." And I said the same exact thing. I said, "Man, you go and you represent our seller exactly the same way that you represented yourself here, negotiating the commission." So I gave her the 25% commission, 25%
Girl.
referral, and she got both listings. They're both in the market. So
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, because Jose, you've been in the business long enough to know that 50% of nothing is literally nothing, right? So
absolutely,
we know this. We've been in this business long enough to know that we need the right people. The percentages are just a distraction. That's all it is, a distraction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the confidence just spoke for itself, and
Yeah.
she got the listings, and I knew that she was the right person. So interviewing the agents is also one of the things I've done. I did 2 of them in Pennsylvania as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Awesome meeting today, guys. We didn't even get a chance to dissect the last part. I'll just play it once again so you guys can take notes. But amazing what can come out of being prepared. So let's listen to the last part again, and then we'll close out.
And you can confront those. And then if they still don't want to say yes after confronting those decisions, you then rely on past agreements. And so what that means is you say, well, do they know that you're struggling with this problem? Yes. Are they happy that you're struggling with the problem? Do they approve of the current condition you're in, that you're struggling? They say no. Then why would they be opposed to you fixing something they already don't approve of? And so you rely on the past to get them to say yes. And then at the very end, you say, hey, at the end of the day, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? Right.
You see that? This guy said, I'm going to post this video so you guys can hear it at least 10 times, because what he's saying here, guys, is literally, it's gold. It's gold. I mean, for a guy who studies dialogue, I think you guys really have to understand that this is masterful. This is like watching Kobe and Jordan play. The way he's saying this is basically what he's coming down to is okay. So what you're so in the past, have you guys had this problem before? Whatever the problem is, and what he's saying, we have this problem that we need more room. We need to move because we need more room. Okay, so what you're saying is she knows that you guys need more room. Is that correct? Yes, my wife knows that we need more room. Okay. When you've made decisions in the past that have helped you and your wife, has she ever been opposed to that? No. So what you're saying is that she would be on board to have a meeting to figure out how you guys can solve this solution or solve this problem together. And, because he's saying you're bringing up the past, and this is why you have to really kind of study and go over this a lot of time. You're bringing up the past that has happened before, where you guys have solved problems before. You reiterate what the problem is, then why would she say no? Correct. So, and then at the end, if all you want is the appointment to sit in front of them, right? If you know this is the way to solve the problem, wouldn't it be easier to just ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission? So his mode of selling is only possible if you're comfortable. If you're uncomfortable and you say these uncomfortable things, you're not going to get a good outcome. You need to be very confident in what you have, because that person at the end of the day needs to know that they're doing the best thing for their family, like Brent said, not for you. Okay. But the thing is that as salespeople, licensed salespeople, our job is to help people not sell their homes. It's to help them make decisions, because you'll always come across people who cannot make a decision. Procrastination is the most abundant thing in the universe, guys. You guys will see this. So our job is to help people make decisions. All right. Not sell houses, not list homes. They could do that on Zillow. They can do that with any agent. It's to help them make decisions. All right. And that's what I'll leave you guys with today. So Brent, if you wouldn't mind, if you can, my brother, would you mind taking us out in a prayer?
If you didn't choose to give us life, God, how in the world would we live this day? We didn't choose to come into this world, and we have no idea when we're leaving. But this day, make us mindful of the fact that we are your workmanship. We're created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which you prepared in advance for us to do. May we do it with a positive attitude, with a desire to help others in all things. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys all
Have a
being
great
here.
week, guys.
You too. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.